Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
While the audience is waiting for the new web series announcement, let's head back to the Boo arc, specifically during the final 20 episodes. Overall, it might have been a roller coaster story-wise, and providing a more action-packed arc could pay off if said action is compelling enough, which wasn't always the case unfortunately. The majority of the battles, both in the manga and the anime, was a bit subpar compared to the previous arcs, as though both adaptations had to cope with issues like Toriyama's will to wrap up the manga for good and Toei's film production draining quality from the main series. Which possibly explains why some important names were narrowly or completely absent in the middle section, such as Tadayoshi Yamamoto being the new supervisor, the three Seigasha tenors Takeo Ide and Naotoshi Shida. And considering how many cuts they provided in theatrical films, it's not that astonishing to view such a discrepancy in the regular series, regardless of time constraints. As a result, the middle section suffers this issue without its best elements, given the unremarkable battles up to the appearance of Vegito. However, ever since Boo absorbs Goku and Vegeta, the anime has started setting up the events leading to the final battle, which is a return to substance on one hand, but is also kinda desperate by providing at least one action scene per episode, even by including Goku and Vegeta battling Boo's stomach acids. That is rock bottom. Fast forward to episode 275, a studio live entry, which would normally be a trivial topic to discuss since there is nothing much to say about Ebisawa. He's a pretty questionable supervisor and a not so capable animator whose episodes had saving graces like Toshiyuki Kano or Hideki Noe minimize his damages. Upon Kano's departure, his episodes range from actually decent to Ebisawa. And this one seems to follow that pattern as well. Regardless, it's still interesting matter as it's directed by legendary Shigeyasu Yamauchi, who's one of the main attractions, starting with the filler Boo flying to eat cakes, which features some decent background animation, and Boo smashing pastry shop windows. It's quite interesting that Yamauchi highlights some apparently pointless details, like window shots shattering to the ground, or even an entire frame of shots while we're hearing Boo smash another window off screen, probably to save time. This isn't the first time he used such devices, as his movies showcased both off-screen brutality and dramatic short framings, as well as thicker outlines during specific moments, like when Dende is tired to carry Mr. Satan and needs to rest, though I don't get why it would be used on a not so crucial filler scene. Back to Boo Insights, Ebisawa handles Goku and Vegeta detaching his cysts, but Boo powering down doesn't seem like him, maybe he only provided corrections. Nothing much to say here apart from Ebisawa's languid timing and pout. Even in the Boo arc, his Vegeta looks ugly, albeit not as hideous as in the past. The following section featuring Sweetie Puff's toxic behavior, he's handled by a known animator, overcorrected by Ebisawa. It's nothing spectacular, character art looks fine, yet I can't get over Goku's undersized arms compared to his chest. Content-wise, it's quite of a mixed bag, as it's got Boo literally glitching while he's entering his own insides, as shown on Kaioshin's Crystal Ball, which is a pretty ingenious idea, but also an entire minute of footage from an older episode of Boo being swallowed by his evil counterpart. Despite the greenish palette, this is a pretty lame and distracting move. Speaking of lame, Ebisawa animates Boo entering his own brain, which contains another one of Yamauchi's trademark motifs, pink and purple hues. He's just perfect for such an occasion, as a purple-colored Boo bursts into a pink rage, engulfing his nervous system with his pink aura. Ebisawa's proportions remain questionable, but the way characters and objects occupy different layers brings that sense of scale Yamauchi always likes to give. The first half ends with the two science going super, lighting up Boo's nerves, which is a nice touch. This is the very reason for this episode to deserve a dissection, as it appears to be animated by Megumi Yamashita, who was one of the newer Seigasha names who debuted in a plan to eradicate the science OVA. But in actuality, Boo's reaction looks like EBISAWA again. After the commercial break, it's fully Yamashita. Her art may be redrawn, but she's pretty easy to ID thanks to her Seiga traits, which do stand out considerably in such a context. She animates Goku blasting a hole in Boo's head to no avail. Animation wise it's nothing special, but the back and forth of EBISAWA correcting is quite curious, especially if once the Super Saiyans enter the action, seeing your partner Tomikichi Takeuchi takes over and in spite of corrections is just that unmistakable. Shading between fingers and fabric folds remains intact, and so do his awkward pacing and multiple impact frames when Boo lands a hit on the two. The last of the three Seiga guest stars is IIZUKA, who tackles the filler with Dende and Mr. Satan, and her art actually appears to be uncorrected. Astonishing how her Satan looks so Izada-esque, but his character animation shares the same stiffness as her regular Seigasha stuff, like Satan's take after Dende tells him about Ki, which could be better in between. Back to the brain fight, Yamauchi's choreography is solid enough, but Takeuchi doesn't execute it that well, and his art is as rough as ever. Then IIZUKA returns to handle Goku kneeing Boo, as well as the infamous headbutt scene. Amazing how this section doesn't dodge EBISAWA's corrections either, unlike the previous one, and also has the supervisor immediately show himself tackling the science aches and the subsequent cuts. It's got a piece of background animation, Boo's nervous system turning green after the blast, but it's not that great of a scene. EBISAWA's poses and expressions are way too repetitive for it to work out, and this bout resembles MGM's Tom and Jerry more than anything else. Upon that, a row of back and forth of EBISAWA and unknown names comes in to finish the episode. Boo taunting Vegeta features some actually solid artwork, which is quite a rarity in a Studio Live entry, improved further by Yamauchi's quirks, like thick outlines and multicolored projections of Boo and knowing Vegeta, causing him to fire Vegeta's technique. Goku firing his blast and Boo's gigantic fist seem like more stock EBISAWA scenes, also judging from the way he tends to draw fingers, which again are middle of the road material in spite of Yamauchi's line work. The last scenes are wrapped up by another unfamiliar name, displaying some pretty detailed shading and a classic Yamauchi-esque purple figure. Overall, this was anything but a memorable episode. Yamauchi is a great director and tried his best to make it more captivating, but apart from the minor Seigasha cameos, which were quite recurring in the Boo arc due to the bigger ones being unavailable, it follows the same pattern of EBISAWA switching with more decent names. Studio Live animated far worse episodes in the past, but this one is still far from being good. Again, the main reason why I broke it down is for the Seiga names being uncredited. In any case, let me know if you enjoyed this analysis, as next time I'll be covering a Yoshihiro Ueda episode.